Israel after a gap of 9 long years. This is being seen as a very, very important visit. And joining me live from Jerusalem is the diplomatic editor of Jerusalem Post and I24, Amichai Stein. Amichai, welcome. How is Israel viewing Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit after 2017?
So, listen, practically it's a 180 degrees change in India's policy towards Israel since Prime Minister Modi entered office. He had a historic visit back in 2017, and today there will be an historic speech in the Knesset. It's the first time an Indian Prime Minister has gave a speech in front of the Israeli Knesset. Now, behind the scenes, I must tell you, there was a political role because there's internal issues between the coalition and the opposition, but this is not a story. The fact is really that Prime Minister Modi is coming to speak in front of the Knesset, which shows how significant is the Prime Minister sees these ties with Israel and how much Israel sees the ties with India these days, especially when we talk not only, let's say, face-to-face or one nation as another nation. You know, there's cooperation internal in agriculture, technological issue, defense issues, but also regional issue. The IMEC project, the idea to connect India through the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Israel to Europe, bringing trade routes, the I-2U2 with the UAE, meaning, again, these are projects which is much more than the one-on-one level. This is a strategic partnership which takes in more countries in, and this is why it's so significant, this visit, I think. And by the way, you know, it comes, he's really the first senior leader. I'll take away President Trump, who came on the day when the hostages were released, but he's really the most senior leader who's coming to Israel after the war in Gaza ends. And, you know, while Prime Minister has these ICC verdicts or warrants issued against him for the Gaza conflicts, and Modi comes here, you know, it shows again how much Prime Minister Modi supports in Israel in its wars, in its struggle against terror. This is very important and very, very significant.
So Israel, this relationship is significant for Prime Minister Narendra Modi. You know, Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-reliance in defense manufacturing is extremely critical. I'm told some cooperation in Israel talking very closely. What do you tell us about joint manufacturing of military hardware? There was some research around the iron dome technology and iron beam technology. What is the cooperation? How is that moving forward?
So first of all, I must say there are many things that we might are not clear to us at this point. What is expected regarding these contracts or these agreements that will be signed during the visit, but again, the idea is really to increase much more the cooperation. Israel sees India as a strategic point in the view. Alon Shpiz, the former head of Israel foreign minister and who was the ambassador, the ambassador in India for several years, told me this week that, you know, at the end, you know, think about it. Israel has an amazing relationship with number 4 in the world when it comes to the economy. We are talking about the world's most populated country. It's not a thing you can say, oh, it's another relationship. It's much more than that. So, you know, I think this visit, you know, we will see agreement signed and we'll see things signed and things being talked about. But again, this is just the beginning of the potential, because there's really much more. And the much more is, like I said before, again, to take this India and put it inside the Middle East as a regional figure, meaning connect the dots between Haifa port and Delhi, between Jerusalem and India, and really, you know, take India into here project. You know, these are things that were frozen during the 2 years war in Gaza, and now there's an attempt to restart them again. And that's why I think this relationship and this visit is much more significant when it's not only the Israel-India relations, it's really India's role inside the Middle East, which is becoming more and more significant in recent years.
Oh, that indeed is the case, because so far we were talking about when India had the joint presidency, the India Middle East Europe Economic Corridor was inked. Do we see forward move that, sadly, after the October 17th mass terror attack in Israel and the massacre of innocents, the progress was stalled to extent. There's also I2U2, India, Israel, United States, United Emirates. But explain this alliance, hexagon alliance that is being spoken of. How does that move forward? What is Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's vision there?
So I think, again, first of all, I think, let's say, even if we wouldn't have things signed on this agreement, the visit itself is very significant in itself, meaning we should look at the visit as an event in itself and the speech to the Knesset. And, I'm not taking away the other things, but I'm saying even if we don't, even if we wouldn't have agreement signed, and we will have probably tomorrow when Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Netanyahu will meet. By the way, Netanyahu, this is something, let's say, Israel, or personally, Prime Minister Netanyahu leaves to the most enormous country, as the most important countries in the world. He was going to the airport to be there when Prime Minister Modi lands. It doesn't happen in any leader. It doesn't happen in any European leader, for example. When Trump comes, of course, but this is an example to how much significant, Prime Minister Netanyahu already started these relations. He was Prime Minister in 2014, sees the relationship with India and how much he works to increase the cooperation. And I must say, India on its part and hand really supported Israel in these 2 hard years. It really was there when Israel needed friends around the world, and not always we had his friend. So again, I think we will see a very, very huge economic agreement signed. But again, I think we can leave it aside, because I think the visit in itself is so significant, even without these agreements and things going out of it, that the visit and the speech and the fact that the Prime Minister is going to meet him in the airport, this is significant by itself.
That's a very major point that you're making, that is Minister Netanyahu will travel to the Ben Gurion International Airport, Tel Aviv, to receive Prime Minister Narendra Modi in just a short while from now. And from that point on, the address to the Knesset, how significant in your view is that address going to be? That is not just about India, Israel, but that message that goes out to the West Asian region and to the world. India's philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is actually being taken across the world, isn't it?
By the way, I didn't hear you so well in the last question, but you asked about a significant visit to the region, if I understand well. And I think it sends a message that, Israel is a place you can do business with. This is, the fact that the 4th economy in the world is coming here to sign agreements. It shows at the end you can do business with Israel.